Could this one thing be keeping you from epic love, from reaching new heights in relating and giving and receiving love? This one thing. I'm going to get into it, by the way. And first of all, I want to describe love and loving from the words of David Data, who is an amazing author. This book is out of this world. It's called Dear Lover, and he has a way with describing the surrender that is required to know love on deeper levels than most of us will ever, right? Unless we desire to. So I wanted to share his words about love here real quick. He describes it so beautifully. He says, within the heart, there is a yearning to give and receive love fully. Love is openness. Your body yearns to live open as love, to give yourself wholly as love, to be seen as love. Yet, if we think about opening, we have to recognize that we need to feel safe. We'll never open with this underlying resistance or fear to opening all the way. And I know that so many of us struggle with that feeling of, I can't trust you enough to open fully, to receive your love and to give my love as I desire from my heart's deepest yearning. And what a horrible paradox, you know, it's kind of such a sticking point. It's heartbreaking in a way. Well, I'm Kristen McHarg. I am the Yogini love and dating coach, and I am here today to give you confidence, to reassure you, and to uplift you, to encourage the truth that love is waiting for you. It's actually closer than you think, and it's that thinking that gets in the way. And a lot of times we just need to get out of our own way. And it can be a lot simpler than we want it to be, or than we believe it is. So let's talk a little bit about that today, why don't we? When you think about your need for safety, if you've ever studied the energy centers within the body, this is a yogic understanding that we have these different centers in the body that are related to certain aspects of our mental, spiritual, embodied self, right? It's like the emotional body. And if we were to look at the lowest part of the body, the most base need, or the base energy center, is that of safety, and it lives at your root. And it's really about needing to feel safe, needing to feel secure, needing to know that we have a roof over our head, we have food in the refrigerator, that we have money coming in, that we're going to be okay on a very base level. And that is one of the very first things that we have to have in order to move up to the next level. The next level would be our emotions, our relationships. And from there we go up, we go into the heart eventually. And that's when we can truly feel what David Data is talking about as this beautiful openness, this trust, this unconditional love, this beauty. Being able to exist in this place requires that we get everything beneath that in order, in a way, first. So, you know, so what happens is, basically, because love is higher on the scale of availability, meaning everything below it has to be in order first, then love is the first thing to be sacrificed. right? Because survival comes first, safety comes first every time. And if we are caught in a position where we don't feel safe, then we can't soften and open enough to give and receive the love that is out there for us. So why don't we trust, you know? Well, there's been many things that we've experienced up to this point that have shown us or taught us to doubt that we can trust. Like, big one, maybe your father wasn't around the way you needed him to be. Maybe the phone didn't ring that one time that you needed it to ring. Maybe you experienced infidelity in a past lover. So all of these experiences from the past are held in your body, in your nervous system. And so as you come to any experience that now asks you to open on another level, you will check in first with this imprint, and it's kind of all happens in the unconscious. But we ask ourselves, am I safe? Am I safe to go there? And without even realizing it, we get this message, I don't think this is safe because this looks so similar to what has happened in the past that we better just move away from it or block it or push it away. And a lot of times we don't even realize this is happening. This is all just kind of an automatic way of getting through the world. So if we want to move into this next level of experiencing love in our life or inviting love, we have to open, which means that we have to surrender. And this is the biggie. Surrender is the power of deep feminine energy. But surrender means that we have to surrender the past. We have to surrender all the walls that we've built around our heart for a sense of safety. We have to surrender our defenses so that we can remain open and not take things personally and react and assume what's happening is happening against us or to break us down or can't be trusted. So we have to let go. We have to surrender the blame. We have to surrender our insecurities to open up to greater levels of love. And it sounds like a huge quantum leap, doesn't it? Drop a heart or any kind of emoji, a thumbs up if you are feeling what I'm saying here. This great ask that love is kind of taking you to the edge of your comfort zone and asking you to expand, to be so much more than your past, to establish yourself in a sense of safety and trust so that you can actually start to blossom open and invite someone else into your world from a place of safety. And that is the scariest thing, but it's scary because it's all in our mind at this point. And because we've been hurt in the past, we have compensated for this hurt by creating these great fortresses around our hearts, around our being. We've developed habits and thoughts and choices that keep us safe. And one of these is self-reliance. So I know for a lot of women, we have become so very self-reliant, so independent, so competent, beautifully competent. It's 11:11, my favorite number. Angels are near. I just thought I'd point that out. It always speaks to me. So this self-reliance can actually be the barrier to love. So what we want to do is transform our relationship from a self-reliance that makes us rigid and impenetrable and not even realizing it, but actually blocking the love that is available for us, to actually turn that self-reliance into a more of a, instead of a hard, forceful, I got it, I'm protected. This is kind of, if you look at it, this is your inner masculine energy, making sure that protecting your soft internal feminine energy. That's what that is. That's self-reliance. And any strong masculine man that wants to step in and love you with his whole heart and protect you and care for you and be your rock, he's not going to be able to when you are in your masculine protective energy yourself. And a lot of times we don't even realize we're doing it. But I know when we hit these places of discomfort, such as uncertainty, right? As soon as we sense uncertainty, it's such an uncomfortable feeling that we like go into overdrive and try to control the situation so that we can feel safe again. And it's that very need for safety that is causing you to try and control your, everyone around you or the situation, whatever it is, and you come out as not that soft, receiving, beautiful, glowing goddess energy. Instead, you come out as hard, impenetrable protector masculine energy. So let's look at this. We can take that self-reliance that is serving your inner softer self and begin to start to work with it. Say, thank you for being here. Thank you for protecting me and keeping me safe. Now, can we turn self-reliance into a softer internal accountability for those moments when we feel most insecure, most uncomfortable, most reactive, and fearful, right? Because it's those fearful moments that draw us back into, I need to feel safe. And when I'm choosing survival and safety over love and giving and receiving love, which is, a totally different level of availability. And when you retract back into that place of safety, you are blocking love. You're blocking love. So if we were to turn it towards softer internal accountability, we would want to shift out of protector energy into that feminine energy of reflectiveness. Not so much protectiveness, but reflectiveness, kind of like the light of the moon. We just, instead of like constantly pushing out, we're actually turning our energy inward and getting curious. Why am I reacting this way? What is it that triggered me, that made me go into overdrive of self-reliance? And how can I work with that energy to let my inner child, because that's really what it is, it's your inner child that's reacting to the past, to reacting to the story that you cannot trust life, and becoming rigidly protective. So how can I show my soft, vulnerable, inner feminine, my inner child in a way, that she's safe no matter what happens? And this one's for you, Jackie. I know that yesterday you mentioned not being able to know for sure that you're going to be okay. So I think that this is so important to understand that any idea that we're not going to be okay is drama of the past, that we can change that story. So I'm going to give you 3 ways to do that today. We're going to start here with regulating our nervous system. So whenever you come up on a trigger that sends you into crazy overdrive protective energy, and actually I witnessed that in a friend the other day, just wanting to really control a situation that wasn't controllable, and over asserting herself because of her fear of this kind of this discomfort, this feeling of, oh my God, this is out of my control. So over asserting is when we overcompensate for that feeling that we don't want to feel. That's like so scary. It's so survival based. I'm being threatened, right? On a very base level. So in those moments, we have to recognize that we want to shift out of that feeling of lack of safety to a feeling of safety. And that's what we're looking for. So what we want to do is discover our coping tools to tolerate emotional discomfort. This is huge, but it's huge but small. It's huge at first, but the more you start to turn towards yourself in these moments of vulnerability and show up for yourself lovingly with self-compassion, things start to change. It gets more familiar. And as things become more familiar, they are less scary, they are less huge. So here are some coping tools. One of them is to observe your sensations. So when we come to these places where we recognize ourselves going into control behaviors, over assertion, trying to dictate and control the external circumstances or people, pause and say, what am I feeling in my body? Do I feel gripped? Because when we're out of safety, we feel contraction, we feel fear, we feel whatever it is. And where do you feel it in your body, right? So you can feel it like a burning sensation in your solar plexus. Oh, there it is. Can I feel it? Can I become aware of just the sensation? And then actually turn to the breath. Can I breathe into that feeling without letting that feeling take me outside of this moment? Can I notice the trigger that took me into that fear state, that reactive state? What was it? This is another deep feminine quality that shifts you out of masculine energy of protector, coming from a place of distrust. You can go into your feminine energy and say, I'm going to be curious. I'm going to be reflective. What was it that triggered me to react that way? Oh, was it uncertainty? Was it a certain environment or situation or words? And can I trace that back to its source? And is it truly a threat in this moment? Or is it just in my head? Am I creating this threat? So we want to observe the sensation, notice the triggers, and witness. If you saw my last newsletter, I talked about that was the essence of my transformation, and opening myself to love was learning to witness, learning to be fully present to what is happening in my body in a loving way, in a non-judgmental way. And that starts to build this inner resilience, this inner teaching that this situation right now is not a threat. It only appears to be a threat. So if I can just slow down and gather inward and into this moment and be present and witness, it's just a feeling. It's not a real threat. And my life is not being threatened. We make things out to be so much bigger than they are in our minds. So use the breathing. Deepen your breath. Learn to place your hand on your heart and one hand on your belly and actually feel your heart rise and your belly receive your breath. I mean, how many times do we have to hear that teaching? Even as a yoga teacher, I still have to remind myself, breathe, breathe, darling, breathe. And we can always turn to animals and nature to find a soothing experience of regulating our nervous system. So any pets, sometimes it's a good idea just to get yourself an animal, a cat or a dog, a little ally for your nervous system. That is their dharma, their beautiful dharma. They're here to support us. And another way that you can regulate your nervous system from feeling threatened to safety, to open yourself to greater heights of giving and receiving your heart in the world, is cold therapy. which means you can even just put your hands in cold water in that moment, just to snap you out of that habitual pattern of shutting the world out, of closing and building walls. Okay. So that's really just one of the first things that you can do. The second thing you can make sure to do to begin to shift out of this place of distrust and fear and lack of safety that is keeping you from truly expressing your heart's yearning for love, giving the love you desire, being seen as the love that you are, is self-care. Getting the sleep you need. Eating good, healthy meals, making time to make beautiful homemade food, getting your exercise. Exercise there's a direct response on our moods, and don't take that for granted. Make time to exercise every day, and you will feel naturally happier, naturally more confident, naturally stronger. Get time in nature. And spend time with friends and family. These are important networks of support that are there for you to start to build this level of inner trust and resilience so that you can start to open your heart the way love will be asking you to. That's the second thing. And the third thing, this is so interesting, this is consistency. Because what challenges our sense of safety more than the feeling of instability, of inconsistency, of uncertainty. So instead of waiting for the world around you to become something that it never will, because change is the only constant, then we can start to shift and take this self-responsibility and actually start to develop consistency in our life through our own self-discipline by creating routines. Now, one of these, I loved this. This is actually a pretty cool book as well, How to Do the Work. Dr. Nicole Pera, she talks so simply about building self-trust. Some habit that is so reliable, so easy for you to actually turn to every day that you will. And upon doing, you actually build this structure of stability in your life and in yourself. And by showing up every day for that one simple habit, you are teaching yourself that you can trust yourself, that you will show up for yourself, that there is stability in your life. And it's so simple, but it actually starts to evolve your subconscious brain so that you can begin to trust on bigger levels of life, knowing that no matter what, you are going to be okay, no matter what happens. So you can start to open your heart on deeper levels. So routine is one of them. Boundaries. Working on boundaries is very difficult for some of us who have learned people-pleasing as our survival skill. Now, this is another skill that happens when we're young, and we learn it as a way to get the validation and the approval that we need. It's a deep inner need, right? And so if we learn that people-pleasing is the only way to get our needs met as a child, because we aren't mature enough yet to meet that need for ourselves, then it becomes this unconscious habit. And what people-pleasing is self-sacrifice. So if you have this habit of self-sacrificing to make sure everyone around you is happy first, it's time to start reparenting that inner child, that inner vulnerability, and meeting that need within for validation, for saying, this actually doesn't work for me. And thank you, but no thank you. It's so important, and you can just start in baby steps. And I think that when we're on this path to epic love, There's a part of us that wants this epic love, but if we're going to just throw ourselves into the fire of love without building a strong foundation, we're only going to get incinerated by it. And this is like when you lose yourself and then you have regrets and all of these things. What I want for you is a strong foundation so that you can start to open your heart in big ways and receive the love that is out there for you. So self-discipline, boundaries, just start small, start to listen in and say, this doesn't feel like a yes, so it must be a no. And you can always say it with grace. This doesn't feel like a yes to me. We could save it for another time, or this doesn't work now, but thank you for the invitation. I appreciate your thoughts, but no, thank you. And we can do it with grace. And the more we do it, the stronger we get. And the stronger we get, we actually are building this container of inner trust that is very different from the hard walls of self-reliance and protectorship of trying to guard our insecurities and deep fears. Are you with me on that? If you are, just drop in an emoji or anything. I'd love to hear from you. And yes, so boundaries are huge. Remember, self-reflection. This is like what we're doing right now. Just taking the time to journal, to notice the patterns and honor it all. It's like, this is what I love about the teachings of Tantra, is that there is no bad or good. There just is. There's just energy, consciousness expressing itself, whether it's expressing itself unconsciously or consciously. This is a conscious kind of way of being with what is. That is love. That creates space for transformation. So self-reflect and notice when you are choosing control versus surrender. Because your need for control is blocking love. So practicing surrendering to what is, and you are already aligning with epic love, because surrender is where you need to be able to really call in your divine king, your epic lover. He's going to ask you to surrender your heart, surrender yourself to him. And you can do these things. You can surrender wholly to love without losing yourself. Pretty powerful. I know that that's a scary thing for a lot of us, but I'm here to tell you that you can surrender everything and still not lose yourself, because you're continuing to check in, to know yourself, to listen to your body, to do the healing, to do the self-touch, to make time to reflect, to grow. And that's like everywhere you go, right? Your life experience with yourself is everywhere. So the only thing that you ever lose is maybe an identity that is looking to just transform and evolve. And I could tell you a whole story about the way I have surrendered to love and to life, and I am living so differently than anything I could have ever predicted. And yet it's this greater heights that we all crave, that deep intimacy, deep connection, and deep partnership can only bring. We cannot do this on our own. We have to be willing to go to these places that we wouldn't go otherwise. So if you're ready to step into this bigger, more beautiful, trusting expression of your true heart, these are the steps we take, and they're not asking too much, and they are not unreasonable, and they aren't even really quantum leaps. They're just little baby steps that start to unfold like a beautiful lotus flower into greater understandings and experiences of love and life and how we fit into all of it, our sacred goddess role. It's so Absolutely beautiful. Last little piece on the third part here is of self-discipline and consistency. Creating consistency is knowing your needs and asking for, like stating your needs, you know. And sometimes that's scary because we're afraid that we're going to chase someone off by saying, you know, there's a part of me that has a deep need for certainty. And when you are not calling or checking in, it really activates my fear state and it shuts my heart down. And I want to be so open for you. I want to be able to surrender to you my whole heart. And I cannot do that without a phone call every now and then to make sure that you're checking in. And even if it's a new habit for you, that is my need. That's what's going to help me be the safest, most sensual, relaxed, flowing goddess you've ever met. That's where this is headed, right? So trust yourself, trust your needs, trust your body. Trust even your triggers, because your triggers are there to show you the way to healing your heart, to healing any distrust you might be feeling in your body. So my loves, there you have it. We tackled a big topic, the topic of trust. And before we finish, of course, I want to mention, I did have this in one of my seeds here. So I call them love seeds. That's each little seed or bead on the mala is a meditation in this new book. Get ready for real love. Unlock the secrets of the universe to attract your soulmate. So seed number 12 is understand your weaknesses. Reflect on areas where growth is needed. For instance, if trust feels like a challenge, dedicate yourself to exploring ways to deepen your capacity to trust your abilities and life itself. This is where it starts. It starts within. It starts with noticing that we can trust the sun to rise in the morning and to set in the evening. There's so many signs and signals out there that we are living in a loving, supportive universe. So with each seed, I kind of give you a little thought like that, and then it says start here. So a little action step. Begin looking for evidence in yourself, people, and life that you can trust. Practice heart-opening yoga poses. Heart-opening yoga poses are kind of just practicing lifting and opening your chest, ustrasana, camel pose, feeling nice and strong and supported in your lower body as you lift and open your heart, is teaching you internally that it's okay to be with open heart in the world. So heart-opening yoga poses can help heal distrust stored in the mind and body. If you are feeling jealous, it's time to focus on building your sense of self-esteem, right? So any of these things, they don't define us. They don't signify that we can't trust life. They just show us our weakness. So if our weakness is jealousy, it's probably because we aren't feeling worthy of love. So instead of trying to control the outside world or the person or get angry and react and actually push him away because your inner masculine protector doesn't want to be on the edge of your comfort zone, that is there to show you to turn inward, to focus on building your sense of self-esteem. We do a lot of that in my programs. It's so important. And then the last one, feeling lonely. Are you going to let that launch you into a story of how you can't trust life? Or are you going to use that as a sign to reach out to someone who might also actually be in need? You know, that another way is like if you reach out to someone who might be in need, then you are showing up and there is a reciprocal flow of energy. That's the giving and receiving love that we're looking for on more epic levels with a partner. We start in this way that is like, what do I have to give, so that we move out of that like place of being the victim to this empowered goddess, beautiful energy of love. So big conversation. I hope you got something valuable today. If you would, drop in the comments what may have stood out as most valuable for you today, and what you are going to practice and take home and start incrementally building this new level of trust in yourself and in the world, so that you can open to greater levels and greater heights in partnership, in the love that is looking for you already. So to review, love requires surrender. You can never have greater heights of love until you start to surrender. And if you can't surrender, it's because you can't trust. And if you can't trust, it has nothing to do with the world outside of you. It has everything to do with a request to start healing, start reparenting your inner child and showing yourself that you can be trusted, that life can be trusted. And there are 3 ways to do it. 1 is to regulate your nervous system. 2 is self-care. And 3 is consistency, which is, in a way, self-discipline, which activates neurochemicals in your brain that improve your sense of well-being. That's the interesting science behind self-discipline. It is not about being hard on yourself. It is actually about developing stability and self-trust and accountability. And so to leave you with this feeling that love is not as far away as you think, and it's not because the world is unfair or because there's no one out there. It actually has everything to do with establishing ourselves in this getting out of stress and into a sense of safety. And it all starts with you and me and all of us in this community, changing our reality because we're taking responsibility. So I love you. Thank you so much for being here. And again, drop in the comments what you found most valuable. And know that my new book is being released on April 7th, 2025. And you can get it on Amazon. So I will leave the link in the comments. And if you pre-purchase, I've got a whole list of red hot bonuses for any of you who pre-purchase the book. And you can read all about it in the link. So I hope that you will get your copy so that you're the first one to be able to enjoy it when it comes out on April 7th. And again, the love you seek is also seeking you. I hope you have the most blessed day. Thank you for being here.